Welcome back to Deep End Stories, where we delve into the most harrowing and complex case files. Important notice from Deep End Stories: this is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual events or persons, living or dead, is entirely coincidental. Thank you for listening. In the world of those who enforce justice, there is an unwritten rule: always be vigilant, for the line between hunter and prey is sometimes thinner than we think. And no one understood that better than Officer Jack Callahan, until the day he became the prey. On October 15, 2022, night fell upon New York like a damp velvet curtain. Inside a luxury high-rise in Manhattan, where lighted windows shone like artificial stars, one apartment was submerged in silence. The door was ajar, an invitation into a frightening darkness. The air inside was cold. On a walnut coffee table, a glass of amber whiskey sat unfinished, the last of the ice having melted, leaving a faint, cloudy ring on the glass. A smartphone lay face down on the hardwood floor, its screen shattered like an intricate spiderweb. There were no signs of a struggle, no violent disarray, only an oppressive silence. On the opposite wall, a photograph commanded attention. In it, Officer Jack Callahan of the New York Police Department, NYPD, stood tall, his gaze sharp and confident. But tonight, the man in the picture was not here. Officer Jack Callahan, the man who had solved dozens of the city's most complex murder cases, had vanished without a trace. Jack Callahan was more than just a name. He was a living legend at the NYPD, a genius mind for deciphering the darkest of crimes. But behind the badge, he was a complicated man. A single father after a tumultuous divorce, living alone in a luxurious apartment, a fact that always raised questions among his colleagues, given a police officer's salary. The first person to notice something was wrong was Officer Kate Reyes, his protege and former partner. Their relationship went beyond that of a typical mentor and student. There was respect, tension, and an understanding that needed no words. To Kate, Jack was both a father figure and a puzzle she had never been able to solve. After 24 hours of being unable to contact him, an unprecedented event, Kate went to Jack's apartment. She was met with a cold scene. Jack was last seen leaving the precinct the previous evening, telling Kate only that he had an important personal meeting. His wallet, keys, and most importantly, his police badge were all left on the table. Only his Glock 19 and his phone had disappeared, along with their owner. Officer Kate Reyes was assigned to the case, a terrible psychological burden. Now she had to turn the life of her mentor inside out, digging into secrets he probably never wanted her to know. The forensics team arrived, but the scene was suspiciously clean. No foreign fingerprints, no extraneous DNA. Everything seemed to have been staged by someone who intimately understood investigative procedures, or by Jack himself. The initial theory was revenge from one of the many enemies Jack had put behind bars. But Kate felt something was off. This perfection bore Jack's signature, a man who was always 3 steps ahead. She began to review Jack's old cases, not to find an enemy, but to find him within them. She noticed a strange habit that only the two of them knew. In unsolved murder files, Jack would often underline a single letter in the report. It was their private code. Putting the letters together, she spelled out a name: the Black Rose. Kate's heart tightened. The Black Rose murders weren't just a series of killings. They were a horrifying legend within the police force, a ghost that had lain dormant for 5 years. 5 years ago, 3 major businessmen, all direct competitors in projects with the billionaire Julian Croft, had died one by one in tragic yet perfectly staged accidents. The first victim, a tech mogul, died from a gas leak in his Hamptons mansion. The second, a real estate developer, was killed in a car crash due to brake failure on the Long Island Expressway. The third, an investment banker, died suddenly of a heart attack despite being in perfect health. The police found no signs of foul play until an investigative journalist discovered the one common thread. A single black rose had been anonymously delivered to each victim's office exactly 24 hours before their death. The black rose became a death notice, an arrogant signature of the perpetrator, a message that their deaths had been ordained. The case went cold as there was no evidence linking these accidents together, and the flower sender remained a ghost. Jack, with his instincts, knew these were no accidents, and now it seemed he had been secretly reinvestigating it all on his own. Kate went to see Eleanor Vance, Jack's ex-wife, a successful and cold-hearted lawyer. Jack was always obsessed with his work, Eleanor said, her eyes devoid of emotion. He saw everything as a chess game, and he had to be the winner. Sometimes I wondered how many lines he crossed to win. When questioned about the 2 calls on the day Jack disappeared, Eleanor admitted, "He asked about a former client of mine, someone with financial ties to one of the Black Rose victims. I warned him not to dig too deep." Next was Officer Markovic, a colleague who had always been jealous of Jack's success. Callahan? He thought he was the king of this city, Markovic sneered. But every king's reign comes to an end. Maybe he got involved in something shady we don't know about. I heard he had some off-the-books income. Markovic's words planted a seed of doubt in Kate's mind, but she knew it stemmed from jealousy. The real lead came from somewhere else. In Jack's old contacts, Kate found an unlisted number. A meeting was arranged in a dark alley. The informant, a figure from the criminal underworld, revealed that Jack had paid a large sum of money for blueprints of construction projects Julian Croft was undertaking. The informant added, he was particularly interested in an old construction site in Queens, where a building had just been demolished to make way for a new complex. He said it was the perfect place to bury a secret forever. Kate's heart stopped. Bury a secret forever. With this precious information, she immediately secured a warrant to search the Queens construction site. That night, under the cold floodlights of police cars, amidst piles of concrete and steel, the forensics team began their search. Kate stood by, her heart pounding in her chest, a terrible premonition washing over her. After hours of fruitless searching, a canine unit suddenly began barking furiously at a corner of newly poured foundation. The construction crew was ordered to drill into the fresh concrete. The sound of the drill was agonizing, tearing through the silence of the night. And then they found him. The body of Officer Jack Callahan was found buried beneath the cold concrete. He was still in the clothes from the day before. The missing persons case had now officially become a homicide. Kate turned away, trying to stifle a sob. Her mentor, the legend of the NYPD, had ended his life like a piece of construction debris. The autopsy revealed that Jack had been killed by a single gunshot to the back of the head, a professional-style execution. The elaborate disposal of the body indicated that the perpetrator not only had money, but also the power to control an entire construction site. Everything pointed to Julian Croft. Grief turned to rage. Kate knew Jack wouldn't have gone down without leaving a trail. She returned to his apartment, looking at everything from a different perspective, the perspective of a man who knew he was about to die. She remembered his habit: always hide the key in the most obvious place. She looked at his bookshelf, filled with classics. She pulled out an old copy of Edgar Allan Poe's Tales of Mystery and Imagination. Inside, a small USB drive was cleverly hidden. The USB drive contained Jack's entire secret investigation. It wasn't just documents, but also audio recordings of his own voice, a kind of investigative diary. Kate plugged the drive into her laptop, put on her headphones, and heard her mentor's weary voice. October 10th. It's Julian Croft. It's all him. He didn't just kill them, he erased them from the business world. He used a professional hitman, staged the accidents. The Black Rose, that's his signature, a taunt. He's too confident, too arrogant. October 13th. I found the flower delivery guy. A small flower shop in Brooklyn. The owner was threatened. He was paid in cash. No trail. I'm getting too close. October 15th. He just called, wants to meet at the old warehouse by the river. He thinks he can buy me off. I know it's a trap, but I have to go. It's the only chance to get his confession on tape. Kate can't know about this. I can't drag her into it. Jack's final words were like a knife to Kate's heart. He didn't distrust her. He was protecting her. The evidence was there, but it wasn't enough to convict a billionaire. Kate decided to use Croft's own arrogance against him. She deliberately leaked to the press that the NYPD had found an important witness in Jack's case. As predicted, Julian Croft made contact, suggesting a private meeting to clear up any misunderstandings. At an abandoned warehouse, the same place Jack had gone on that fateful night, Kate confronted him. The entire area was under surveillance by a SWAT team. Officer Callahan was a smart man. Very smart, Croft said, his voice dripping with condescension. But he was too curious. Kate looked him straight in the eye, her voice as cold as ice. He was smart enough to know where you would hide the body. We found him, Julian, under the concrete at the Queens construction site. But you made a mistake. You're so used to staging perfect accidents, sending black roses to sow fear. This time, you couldn't stage it. This time, you had to get your own hands dirty. Now, you tell me, what did you say to him before you put a bullet in the back of his head? The smug look on Croft's face vanished, replaced by shock and rage as he realized he'd been set up. "You bitch," he snarled. Every word was recorded. The SWAT team moved in. The trial of Julian Croft lasted for months, becoming the focus of the entire nation. With the irrefutable evidence Jack had gathered and Kate's sharp testimony, Croft's empire crumbled. He was convicted for the entire Black Rose murder series and for the murder of Officer Jack Callahan. Justice was served, but for Kate, it was a bitter victory. A few weeks later, she was cleaning out Jack's old desk. She found a key to a bank safe deposit box that he had hidden away. Inside the box was a letter Jack had written to her, dated the day he disappeared. Kate, if you're reading this, it means I failed. I knew confronting Croft was a life or death gamble. I'm sorry I kept this from you, but this was my fight alone. I couldn't put you in danger. You're a good cop, better than me in many ways, but I couldn't bear the thought of him targeting you. In here is a copy of all the evidence, and a bank account. It's money I've saved, a few lucky investments. Use it to take care of my daughter. Tell her that her father loved her more than anything, and never stop fighting. Don't be like me. Don't ever go it alone. Jack. Kate folded the letter, tears streaming down her cheeks. She looked out the precinct window toward the New York skyline. Jack was gone, but his fight was now hers. In this deadly game of chess, he may have fallen, but he had passed the queen to the most worthy person to make the next move. The case of Officer Jack Callahan is a bitter reminder that justice sometimes demands too high a price, and that true heroes are not always the ones who survive. His legacy lies not in how he died, but in the fight he bravely pursued to the very end. He fell, but he passed the torch to his successor to continue the fight against the darkness. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe to Deep End Stories, and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Your support is our greatest motivation to continue bringing you more in-depth stories. See you in the next case.